My mom crashed my wedding, and I thought she was just there to ruin everything. But what she said that night changed the way I saw my entire childhood. This is a story about family, betrayal, and a truth I never saw coming. If you asked anyone growing up what they thought of my mom, they'd say she was the definition of perfection. PTA president, cookies for the whole neighborhood, Christmas cards in July, and that smile always on point. People adored her, worshipped her even. But inside our house, different story. Ever since I could remember, I was never enough. Not smart enough, not thin enough, not social enough. She'd say things like, "If only you had your cousin Jenna's discipline," or, "That dress looks better on girls with actual curves, sweetie." It was never yelling. Oh, that would have been too obvious. My mom specialized in passive-aggressive jabs, the kind that you'd laugh off in front of guests but cry over at night. By the time I left for college, I thought I was free. I rarely called. She noticed. When I met Jason, my fiancé, I was terrified to introduce them. Jason was kind, grounded, nothing like my family. I warned him ahead of time. He just smiled and said, "I'll win her over. Mom's loved me." I didn't want her to love him. I wanted her to not ruin it. They met at a brunch 2 years ago. She turned on the charm instantly, flirted a little, she always flirts, complimented his tie, leaned too close. Then she looked at me and said, "Well, you've certainly outkicked your coverage, haven't you?" Like it was a compliment. It wasn't. Jason laughed awkwardly. I felt my stomach twist. Things got worse when we got engaged. Suddenly, she was all in, offering to help with the wedding, insisting we have it in her backyard, demanding to pick the caterer. I kept saying no, but she wouldn't hear it. She'd guilt me. "Do you not want me involved? Do you hate your family that much?" Jason noticed the tension. He said, "She just wants to feel important." But I knew better. My mom doesn't want to be important. She wants to be in control. So I decided to start keeping my distance. But one night, I accidentally heard something that changed everything. It was a Thursday. Jason had gone over to drop off some old furniture to my parents' place. I stayed late at work. When he came back, he looked weird, quiet, off. I asked what was wrong. He said, "Nothing. Your mom was just being your mom." But I could tell something happened. He wouldn't tell me, just brushed it off. The next day, I noticed he was texting less. That weekend, he skipped dinner with my family, said he was tired. That's when my anxiety kicked in. Something happened in that house, and I needed to know what. I set up the plan the following week. My mom had invited Jason over to help her pick flower options from some ridiculous wedding magazine. I told him I had work and couldn't go. What he didn't know was that I'd given him a gift a month ago, a keychain voice recorder. I told him it was a fancy fob tracker in case he lost his keys. It wasn't. That morning, I texted him, "Don't forget to take your keys." He did. The recorder was on, and what I heard later that night still makes me shake. I waited until Jason fell asleep, slipped the keychain from his jacket pocket, plugged it into my laptop, and sat there in the dark, headphones in, heart pounding like crazy. At first, it was just small talk. "Jason, wait, you really got a nice garden out back. Looks amazing this time of year." "Mom." "Oh, Jason, flattery will get you everywhere." Fake laugh, Jason. "Just saying the truth." "Mom, you always are sweet. I sometimes wonder what you see in her." My stomach dropped. Jason laughed, uncomfortable. "Well, she's pretty amazing. Smart. Funny. You raised a good one." "Mom, did I?" "She was never exactly easy. Always emotional. Always so serious. You'd think she was auditioning for a tragedy her whole childhood." "Jason, I don't think that's fair." Mom laughing. "Oh, don't be so defensive. You're just seeing the polished version. You didn't have to deal with the crying over grades, or boys not liking her, or her weird little food obsessions. You're a good man for putting up with it." I felt heat behind my eyes. She was saying this about me to him, and he just sat there. But it got worse. "Mom, you know, if I'm being totally honest, I didn't think she'd land someone like you. You're different, stable, handsome. My daughter tends to go for messes." Jason quiet. "You're her mother." "Mom, exactly. Which is why I can say these things. I know her flaws better than anyone. She gets that dramatic streak from her father's side, always making everything bigger than it is." Jason stayed silent for a moment. Then he asked, "Do you really not think she's ready to get married?" My breath caught. "Mom, not to someone like you. She'll ruin it, or you'll grow resentful. Either way, I just don't want to see you make a mistake." "Jason, thanks for your honesty." The rest was small talk again. She offered him wine. He declined. He left soon after. I didn't sleep at all that night. My thoughts ran in loops. Not just because of what she said, I knew she thought that stuff, but because he didn't defend me. Not really. He tried, but he also just let it slide. No, how dare you? No, you're wrong. He just thanked her for her honesty. I woke up early and took a walk. I thought about sending him the file, thought about confronting my mom, but something inside me snapped. She's been doing this to me my whole life, I thought. Whispering poison, smiling in public, undermining me with fake kindness, and now she was doing it to the one person I loved. No, I wasn't going to let this go quietly. The next few days I acted normal, smiled, laughed, went through the wedding planning motions. Jason seemed a little awkward, but I pretended not to notice. He didn't know I knew. Meanwhile, I got to work on the engagement party. We had planned a small gathering at my friend Mia's house. Just close friends, both families, maybe 20 people total. It was supposed to be low-key, but I had a new idea. I asked Mia if I could plug in my laptop to the speakers for a special surprise. She raised an eyebrow but said sure. I made the file into an audio clip, cleaned up the background noise, made sure my mom's voice was clear. I rehearsed in my head how it would go. The night of the party came. Everyone looked amazing. My mom wore one of her signature cream blazers with a brooch, subtle but flashy. She kissed both my cheeks like we hadn't just passed years of damage between us. Jason looked nervous. He kept holding my hand like he wasn't sure he had permission. We cut the cake. People gave little toasts. Then I tapped my glass. Hey everyone, I know it's been a wild few months. Planning a wedding is chaos, but I wanted to take a moment to share something really personal. Jason looked up at me, confused. Mom beamed. I walked to the laptop and pressed play. It started mid-conversation. Mom's voice. You always are sweet. I sometimes wonder what you see in her. At first, people were confused. You could see the tilt of heads, the awkward smiles. Then it kept going. Mom, she gets that dramatic streak from her father's side, always making everything bigger than it is. And then, not to someone like you. She'll ruin it. The room went dead. Jason's eyes widened. My mom's smile froze. I paused the audio. Let the silence stretch. My hands were shaking, but I held the mic. That's what she said to Jason last week. That's what she's been saying behind my back for years. I looked straight at my mother. You taught me to be ashamed of who I am. You criticized every part of me you didn't like and called it love. But it wasn't. It was control. She opened her mouth to speak. I cut her off. You don't get to play perfect anymore. Not here. Not with him. Not with me. The room stayed silent. Jason stood up. I didn't know how to tell you. I was scared you'd think I agreed with her. I don't. I swear. I nodded, eyes stinging. You didn't say anything when she said it. That was loud enough. I turned back to the crowd. Anyway, this is supposed to be a party, so if anyone's still in the mood, the drinks are over there. And Mom? I pointed to the door. You can leave now. My mom didn't say a word. She didn't cry, didn't scream, didn't even act shocked. She just picked up her purse like she was leaving brunch early and walked out the front door. A couple people tried to look anywhere but at her. Jason looked like he wanted to crawl out of his own skin. Mia came up behind me and gave me a quiet nod. That was intense. Yeah, I whispered. I felt completely hollow inside, like my body was still standing there, smiling, holding the mic, but my insides had gone somewhere else. People started muttering and slowly the music came back on. Mia turned the volume up a bit louder than necessary. It worked. The tension eased slightly. Jason pulled me aside. Can we talk? Outside? We stepped into the backyard. It was cold and quiet, except for the murmur of music through the glass doors. I should have told you, he said right away. I didn't want to hurt you. You didn't think I deserved to know. He exhaled sharply, rubbing his face. I went there to get her blessing. I wanted to propose properly. I didn't expect her to say those things, and when she did, I froze. I didn't know how to respond. But you thanked her for her honesty. Yeah, because I didn't want to escalate it. I figured I'd talk to you later and we'd figure it out together. I wasn't defending her. I crossed my arms. It felt like you were agreeing with her. I'm not. Silence stretched between us. His breath came out in a cloud. Look, he said. This isn't how I wanted things to go, but I love you. That hasn't changed. If anything, I love you more for standing up to her. I searched his face. His eyes were honest, nervous but honest. Still something inside me had shifted. I'm not calling off the wedding, I said, but I need some time, space, to figure out how we move forward from this. He nodded, slowly. Whatever you need. The next day, the texts started. First from relatives. And Liz, I can't believe you aired that out in front of everyone. Couldn't you have just had a private conversation? My cousin Sam. Dan. Power move. Moo. But also, yikes. Then friends. Some supportive, some just nosy. And then, my mom. 3 missed calls. A text. You humiliated me. Another. You owe me an apology. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I blocked her. Weeks passed. We postponed the wedding by 3 months. Jason moved back into his apartment temporarily. We still saw each other, but everything felt shaky. We were trying, but the foundation had cracked. Then, out of nowhere, my dad called. We hadn't spoken in over a year. I heard about what happened, he said. Your aunt told me. Oh, great. Family grapevine's still alive and kicking. He laughed softly. I'm proud of you. That made me go still. What? Standing up to your mother? I never could. Not really. I didn't know what to say. She's been that way since we met, he continued. Charming in public, brutal in private. You were always her favorite target. I sat down. Why didn't you protect me? A long pause. Because I didn't know how. I was afraid. Weak. I thought if I kept the peace, you'd be okay. I wasn't. I know. I'm sorry. I bit the inside of my cheek. She tried to ruin my relationship, Dad. Told Jason I wasn't good enough for him. That sounds exactly like her. Why is she like this? Because she thinks love is control, and she doesn't know how to love any other way. That hit hard. I thanked him for the call. Hung up. Cried. That night, I sat with Jason again. I need to ask you something, I said. And I want you to be honest. He nodded. When she said all that about me being dramatic and not good enough, did any part of you believe it? He didn't answer immediately. No, he said finally, but I understood why she thought it. My heart dropped. What does that mean? I mean, you are emotional. You feel things deeply. You react strongly. It's one of the reasons I love you, but your mom sees that as weakness. I was quiet. Do you see it as weakness? He looked at me for a long time. No, but sometimes it scares me. We sat in silence. That was the moment I realized something important. This wasn't just about my mom. This was about me. How I'd spent years trying to prove I wasn't too much, too loud, too sensitive, too anything. And now I was marrying someone who loved me but also feared that part of me. Was that okay? Was that sustainable? I didn't know. A week later, I got an envelope in the mail. No return address. Handwritten. Inside was a letter from my mom. I don't know what I did to make you hate me. You embarrassed me in front of everyone. I was just trying to protect Jason from making a mistake. You've always been too emotional. This isn't new. I'm your mother. You treat your mother like this. No apology. Just guilt. I burned it. After I burned the letter, I felt lighter. Not free, not yet, but lighter. Like I had dropped a backpack full of bricks I'd been carrying since childhood. Jason called that night. Hey, he said softly. I've been thinking. Yeah, I want to go to couples therapy. I think we need help sorting this out. I was surprised in a good way. That suggestion didn't sound like fear. It sounded like commitment. I'd like that, I said. We started sessions the next week. Our therapist, Lila, was sharp and no nonsense. She cut through pleasantries like a scalpel. So Jason, she said during our second session, what scares you about her emotions? He looked at his hands. I think I worry that one day it'll be too much, that she'll burn out, or that I won't know how to help. Do you feel responsible for her emotions? He nodded slowly. Sometimes. That's not love, Lila said. That's emotional codependence. Jason's eyes flicked to me. I gave him a reassuring squeeze. We were in this together. Over the next few sessions, we unspooled years of baggage. My mom's manipulation. Jason's conflict avoidance. My habit of trying to perform normalcy in order to be accepted. His instinct to withdraw whenever things got intense. It was hard, like tearing off bandages before the wounds underneath had even scabbed. But it was real. One day, in the middle of a session, Jason turned to me and said, I don't want to marry someone I'm afraid to upset. That hit me harder than I expected, because it wasn't cruel. It was true. Later that night, I sat with that thought, turned it over, held it up to the light. Jason didn't want to hurt me, but he also didn't want to feel like he had to tiptoe around me. I didn't want a partner who just managed me. I wanted someone who saw me. We were both learning. I thought about my mom again, how I'd spent so much of my life trying to be who she needed me to be. Calm. Perfect. The daughter she could parade around to her wine friends, but ignore the rest of the time. And then one day I stopped. I said no. I took the mic and ended the performance. And now here I was, picking up the pieces. One Saturday morning, I woke up to a text from a number I didn't recognize. This is Anna. I'm your mother's friend. She's in the hospital. Heart arrhythmia. She asked me to tell you. I stared at the screen for a long time. I didn't respond, but I drove to the hospital anyway. She was in a small, clean room with a window that overlooked the parking lot. Her hair looked thinner, her hands smaller. When I walked in, her eyes lit up, not with joy, with relief. "You came," she said. I didn't say anything. I sat down at the foot of the bed. "They say it wasn't a heart attack," she added, "but close. I guess I've been more stressed than I realized." I nodded slowly. She looked at me, her eyes glossy. "You haven't called. You sent me a letter that blamed me for your behavior." She looked down. I was hurt. I lashed out. "I don't need excuses. I need ownership." That landed. Her mouth tightened. Her jaw clenched. But she nodded. "I'm sorry," she said quietly, "for what I said to Jason, for not supporting you, for making you feel like you had to prove your worth." I blinked. It was the first real apology I'd ever heard from her. "Thank you," I said. "I'm not sure where we go from here, but thank you." We sat there for a long time. Not talking, not fixing everything, just sitting. A month later, Jason and I stood in front of a small group of family and friends in a garden in Sonoma. We read our vows. His included this: "I used to be afraid of intensity. Now I know it's where truth lives. You taught me that, and I want to walk through the fire with you, not around it." Mine included: "You don't complete me. I complete myself, but I choose you every day because you meet me where I am not where you wish I'd be." My mom was there, quiet, polite, no speeches. She gave me a small nod as we walked past her down the aisle. I nodded back. After the ceremony, Mia pulled me aside. "Well, damn," she said. "That was beautiful. And not one scene." I laughed. "I'm exhausted. You can sleep when you're dead. Or on your honeymoon." She winked. Later that night, Jason and I sat outside under the stars. Just us. "Did you ever imagine we'd make it here?" he asked. "No," I said honestly. "Me neither." He reached for my hand. "But I'm glad we did. We didn't go on a lavish honeymoon. No Bali, no Greek Isles. Just a quiet cabin up in the Blue Ridge Mountains. A fireplace, some wine, no cell service. And for the first time in my adult life, I felt still. Not the anxious kind of stillness that comes before a storm. Not the numb kind that feels like giving up. It was a quiet that felt earned." On the third night after dinner, Jason and I sat on the porch. A storm was rolling in. We could hear the low grumble of thunder somewhere far off, like a distant animal. "You remember our second fight?" he asked. I smiled. "You mean the one where I cried over burnt lasagna?" "Yeah, that one." He paused. "I thought we were over after that." "Me too." I laughed quietly. "Turns out we're both dramatic." Jason sipped his wine and looked out at the trees. "I'm glad we didn't give up." So was I. When we got home, the first voicemail was from my mom. "Hi. Just wanted to say congratulations again. You looked beautiful." "Jason too. Let's get lunch next week if you're up for it." There was something different in her tone. Softer. Less scripted. I didn't call her back right away. 2 days later, she showed up at my apartment. I opened the door, a little surprised. She was holding a small box. "I know I should have asked first," she said, "but I wanted to give you this in person." Inside was a photo. It was me at age 10, standing on a dock, holding a fishing rod almost as tall as I was. Next to me was my dad, the real one, the one who left. I hadn't seen the photo in over a decade. "I thought you threw these away," I said quietly. "I kept some," she replied. "I just couldn't look at them for a long time." There was silence. Then she said, "You were always braver than me." That scared me, I think. My breath caught. It wasn't much, but it was honest. I nodded, holding back tears. "Thank you." A few weeks later, I got a message from Maya. "Dinner with Jen and Leah next Friday. You in?" I was. It felt nice to have old friends again, to feel grounded. That Friday, over drinks, I told them about the therapy, the wedding, the slow repair between me and my mom. Jen looked impressed. "So basically, you broke the curse." "What curse?" "You know, the generational crap. You didn't pass it on." I hadn't thought of it like that, but she was right. The next day, I ran into Olivia at the grocery store of all places. I saw her first, near the cereal aisle. She was alone, no ring on her finger. For a moment, I considered walking the other way, but something in me stopped. I walked up to her. "Hey." She turned, startled, then tried to fake a smile. "Wow. Hey." There was awkward silence. "You look well," I said. "Thanks. You too." Another pause. Then she blurted, "I heard you got married." I did. She nodded slowly. "I wanted to reach out. I just didn't think you'd want to hear from me." "Probably wouldn't have," I said. "But life's weird." She looked down at her cart. "Just a frozen pizza and some wine." "I messed up," she said. "You didn't deserve what I did." I was selfish and jealous, and I hated how you could just be yourself. That surprised me. I wasn't myself, I admitted. I was faking it until I couldn't anymore. We both laughed. It was sad but real. Well, she said, I'm glad you're doing okay. I am. I walked away without looking back. A month passed. Then two. Then one day, Jason came home with a grin on his face. You're never gonna believe who messaged me. Who? Your mom. My eyes widened. What? Why? He pulled out his phone and showed me the message. Hey, Jason, I know this is weird, but I wanted to say thank you for sticking around, for not giving up on her or us. I'm still learning, but I see now what I didn't back then. I stared at it. No manipulation, no guilt, just gratitude. I took a deep breath. 6 months later, I was having coffee with my mom at a local cafe. She was telling me about a book club she joined, how she didn't like the main character in the latest novel because I smiled. The irony wasn't lost on me, but I didn't say anything. Instead, I sipped my coffee and listened, because sometimes growth looks like long pauses. Other times, it sounds like casual small talk from someone who used to throw knives with words. She had changed, and so had I. On our 1-year anniversary, Jason and I returned to that same cabin in the Blue Ridge. We left our phones at home this time. Just us, a deck of cards, and the sound of rain on the roof. Before bed, he handed me a letter. Just one sentence inside. Thanks for choosing to stay with me, but mostly with yourself. I cried when I read it, but this time, it wasn't from sadness. It was from finally, truly feeling safe.
Subscribe for more videos.